Hey guys, I'm Mr. Junior here, aka Mustached, and I'm here to review Jumanji: The Next Level. And if you end up enjoying this review, then consider joining my Patreon. There'll be the second link in the description below. Alrighty then, so we're looking at Jumanji: The Next Level. Boy oh boy, you can tell that they were desperate to make this movie because the reasoning is just really stupid, but we're gonna get to that. Anywho, this movie starts off with the character, I believe her name is Martha, texting her friends. We have French, Spencer, and Bethany, I think her name is. Anyways, we cut to Spencer having his manager give him some stuff about working. He rushes home to his grandfather, played by Danny DeVito, who plays this character named Ed, and he's confronted with his friend Mallow. I think that's how they pronounced his name. And after his little guff with him, he has a one-on-one talk with Spencer about his girlfriend. After that, he says that he kind of briefly just says Bravestone. Then he goes over and finds the broken game of Jumanji. And then it cuts away. Enter Martha and Beth meeting back up with French. And DeVito, or Ed, is dealing with Mello coming over and kind of talking about their past. And Ed at first doesn't want to hear any of it. So they begin hearing the drums, and they all dread it immediately. So they had the three of them, which came in to check on the two elders, check in on the game. They only find the phone, and they figure that for whatever reason, Spencer went back in, and they all get resucked back into the game. And out of what happens, Beth is the one who gets left behind, which is unusual. So Ed gets sucked in, and Mallow gets sucked in instead, and they get the roles of the Rock and Kevin Hart. Martha is continued to be the redheaded player, and French is now Jack. So each, or at least three of the four, are actors are playing different roles, and they do it pretty good, all things considered, or good enough. But I mean, it's the reasoning is still really stupid. I think that kind of just makes the whole thing kind of pointless. But we're gonna get to that. So Martha is trying to explain that they are in a video game, and a hippopotamus, almost kills Mallow / Kevin Hart. And in the process, French gets snatched up by a snake, and he loses a life. And just to reiterate, they have 3 lives, so one of his lives are lost. So they see this plane ride in, and they see the NPC, Nigel. He goes over the cutscene and reintroduces this new MacGuffin that is to be set up, that was taken away from Jumanji, and they get this map, and they are dropped off in this desert. In the meanwhile, Beth sort of leaves where she is to go find some help. So French points out there are all these dead cars, and they're looking around. And Ed sees a figure moving at them, and He's then proceeded to be killed by an ostrich, and the drums play again as a sandstorm hurls in with a herd of ostrich coming at them. So they make two of the cars work, and they start to drive off. Mallow's almost pulled out, but Ed saves him, and they start to drive away, while the other two, French and Martha, crash their cars. So, Ed and Mallow pick them up, and I do apologize for the odd pausing. The reason that's happening, by the way, is because for my notes, I kept switching between the actors we see as the avatars and the people that are playing them. I thought that would help me, but it did not help me at all. Anyways, so I'm just going to call them the actors that they are at this point, because that's what my notes have. So The Rock, again, who's Ed, leaps over them, and sort of is trying to fend off. And Martha checks the game player info after they have a little bit of a break, and they learn that they have new different strengths and weaknesses, unlike before. So French is complaining about his character, meaning he's complaining about being Jack Black this time. And he was complaining about being the animal expert last time, but he had gotten used to it, apparently. But, meanwhile, Ed and Mallow have another talk about retiring and how Ed felt betrayed by being retired by Mallow. So Beth sees a younger Beth, and they have a little moment in the real world as they are heading in a location. Meanwhile, back in the video game, The Rock comes across this woman who was in the video game his fling. One of the bad guys, or the bad guy, speaks up, and the lights go out. And the key is gone, and the bad guys stop a thief, and then they kill him. And they find out that this new player character, the thief character, is Spencer. And he literally says he doesn't know why he even came back other than just to play the character of The Rock, and he got upset that he wasn't able to play The Rock. Like, what? You almost died last time, and the only reason you came back was just to relive that moment of near death. What the fuck is wrong with you, my guy? So they see this fruit that's like some sort of hint to get to the next area, and Spencer's character sneaks off to go get some camels with Mallow, who is the animal expert character. Meanwhile, Martha gets on to get the fruit, and she falls in, and she touches with French's character, and they switch characters. Meanwhile, Brock beats down some guy that was bugging him, and he finds out that he's really strong. And we cut back to Fridge pretty quickly as they switch back after he tries to do the same thing, and then they end up switching back to the players that they were before. So they take the camels and they meet back up with Jack and Martha. French and Martha, sorry. And while they're complaining about how they nearly escaped, the entire group just gets blown up, and they all lose a life each. And after they come back, Ed and Marlowe argue some more. And Ed wants to settle this, and then Ed proceeds to kill Mallow, causing him to have one life left. So they get to this bridge area where the drums are playing, and the bridges are moving, and they are chased by mandrill monkeys. I believe that's what they were called. They're being chased, and Martha's like nearly flung off. Spencer's like falling down further. It's this as intense moment as the movie can allow for, I suppose. And Ed gets to Spencer. He's like dropping down to get to him, and then Martha realizes that she's now down to one life. She saves Spencer, and the Rock, or Ed, cuts off the bridge. So they continue to flee and get surrounded. They have Alex come in on a horse. Alex, for those of you who may not remember, because I didn't, was the guy from the first movie that they saved that was there for the 20 years. And they come to the revelation that Beth is now playing a horse. Okay, so Alex was the one trapped there, again, as I mentioned, for the 20 years, and he learned about a shop that they are able to shop for equipment. I'm like, and then I'm suddenly thinking, well, wait a minute, if they can shop for items, couldn't they shop for lives, question mark? That does seem to be a pretty big revelation to come across, that you could, again, buy items. I don't know. It seems a little bit odd. So again, Mallow has another moment with Ed, and now he's talking about how he knew his time is coming up. He's old. He realizes this, and they finally come to a nice little close, and they're doing this as they are approaching the last level. So French falls back into some water, and they realize that this water is the same water that switched them the last time. So they all get into the bodies they were in initially in the first movie. Meaning that the only two characters that are remaining are the thief and the horse, which obviously get taken from both Mallow and Ed. Ed being the thief and Mallow being the horse. But they're immediately taken away, the two of them. And the players that are remaining all realize that they all have one life left. Meanwhile, Alex moves in with Kevin Hart and Jack Black, who are now Beth, and Kevin Hart is French. So yeah, to figure that one out, but whatever. Again, I think it's at this point it's better to just say what the avatars are. If you knew what they were from the first movie, I do apologize of how confusing this all is. So they lie there. They lie their way inside the building. That being Kevin Hart's character and Jack Black. Martha and Spencer, who is Martha's still Martha, the redhead, and Spencer is the Rock again. And they talk about how they split up and how they felt bad about it. And they talk about like how when you're scared is like when you need the people the most. So Alex, who had just joined them, still has his 3 lives, and he dies twice within a pretty quick time with one another, dying to the same 2 different traps within the immediate vicinity. And Spencer and Martha save each other. Meanwhile, the thief Ed, is like there as they're like making out after they help each other. Meanwhile, Kevin and Jack have more lies as they tell them that they are brothers, that are like these 2 sacred brothers that are like going to have their sister like marry into the bad guy or whatever. So Alex taps the horse's stats off screen. You see it pop up and it's like over here off to the side, and he's like, "Aw, yeah." And you're like, "Huh, what's all that about?" Anyway, excuse me. Excuse me. Anyways, Ed, the thief, moves in. He finds out that the box was empty, and they meet the bad guy who has the other two meet the bad guy who has the jewel. And he's like looking for the sister, and the bad guy threatens Kevin and Jack. And then Martha comes in, and she claims to be the sister, but it's pretty quickly figured out that they are faking it. But Spencer also made his way in, so he's able to fight off them. He realizes that the bad guy is super buff, so he's not able to be as effective as he normally is. Meanwhile, Kevin pulls out a music box, and that makes Martha an even more better fighter. And she also manages to pick up nunchucks, which is her other weapon of expertise. So she has a whole combat routine that she does. After that, they all run out, and Spencer's like ahead of them, running towards this blimp where the bad guy ran toward and is on. Meanwhile, Alex gets on with the horse, and he's like riding them toward it. Meanwhile, the rocks in the blimp, it's crashing against the building. He like squishes the fruit that they picked up earlier, which happens to be the bad guy's weakness from beforehand. And then he's able to toss the bad guy out and grabs the jewel and hangs tight. Meanwhile, we learn that the horse's ability or strength is that it is able to fly. So Mallow and Thief Ed get up there, and they say Jumanji's name. So the NPC returns to say that your job is complete, you can leave now, but Mallow wants to stay, so they say their goodbyes. And Ed and Mallow again say their goodbyes. And then we cut to them all getting back to the real world, and they end up playing Street Fighter, either 1 or 2. I think it's 2. I don't know. I didn't see the side, so I do apologize. I'm just gonna assume it was 2 for the time being. With again Spencer and Ed back as DeVito, who goes back to the store where he used to own and speaks up with Nora, and then offers to help her. And then we cut to the mom of Spencer and this cop who's like there for some reason, question mark. He's like checking out, or I don't think he was a cop. He's like some a new supply guy that they hired, and he's like checking out the basement. And then he's like, "Oh, I used to love video games," as he's looking at the video game of Jumanji. And then the mom's like, "Oh, I don't know if you should touch that," and he goes, "Whoop." And then you hear the drums, you see the ostriches as the 4 characters come out and they see the ostriches. And that was Jumanji, the next level. Oh boy. That setup was really, really bad. Oh, I just want to relive playing The Rock. Come on. That's bad. Like, maybe someone else fell in there before by accident. Maybe Ed had to get something and he was like pulled in. And then Spencer was like, "Oh, I have to save my grandfather." There. Yeah, I fixed the entire premise of the movie for you. Because the execution of this premise is absolutely garbage. It makes no sense. Why would you put yourself and your friends through that again, only to relive The Rock? Oh boy, that is not good. That is not good at all. And the thing is like, outside of that stupidity, there are some good moments here and there, and they primarily take place later on. Again, the action scenes that happen later on, as I mentioned. The beginning, it does a little bit of like setting up and whatever, but again, that whole reason just makes me go, ugh, yikes. that was so easy to fix, and you went for just, oh, I want to relive the character. Like, fuck off. I would not want to be your friend if you put me through that again. Like, no, I'm sorry. If that really is a near death experience and it seemed like it caused trauma, it seemed like that is how effective it was at affecting the characters within the context of the movie, I'd be like, no, don't do that. It's like that's a bad. Again, it could have been so easily fixed. Again, just have the grandpa like down there for something. Have him touch the game. Like what's all this down here? I don't know. Easy fix, but they went with a really really stupid reason. I don't know. I think I would also give this movie, and I just reviewed another movie prior to this in terms of recording, but I would also just give this like a 5 or a 6 out of 10. The decency coming from the latter half of the movie, and then the bad coming from the setup was just sort of kind of meandering, and then the reason behind him, the main character Spencer, even going was absolute shit. So there you go. If you enjoyed my review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out those links in the description. The first will head you over to my Discord server. The second will head you over to my Patreon page. Any donations are desperately needed. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.